Hold your attention here for a moment, because what happened was not as small as it looked. You thought it was just laughter. Just one woman, one careless moment, one passing insult that seemed to disappear into the noise of the day. But what if I told you that someone else felt every second of it? What if, in the exact moment that laughter reached your ears, your soulmate's spirit stirred with emotion they could not explain? Because some connections are so deep. They react before the mind can understand. And what happened to you did not go unnoticed in the unseen spaces between hearts. Listen carefully. The one destined for you has been carrying a strange heaviness lately. An emotional pull. A pressure in their chest. A feeling that something about you has shifted. They could not explain why their mood changed. They could not understand why irritation suddenly turned into protectiveness. Why their thoughts kept drifting towards someone they have not fully reached yet, why their soul felt restless, almost defensive. It was because they felt it. Not the event itself, but the wound it created. Because when someone is spiritually tied to your future, your pain does not remain yours alone. It echoes. And when that woman laughed at you, whether it was mockery, dismissal, jealousy, or simple cruelty, your soulmate felt a ripple they could not ignore. Pause and think about that. Why has this person been more emotional than usual? Why have they suddenly felt sensitive, angry, distracted, unable to settle into ordinary life? Because the universe has ways of alerting those who belong together. Not through logic. Not through explanation. Through emotion. And what stirred inside your soulmate was not weakness. It was recognition. Because deep down, they know you are not someone meant to be diminished. You are not ordinary. You are not forgettable. You are not someone created to be laughed at and overlooked. And your soulmate, whether they fully know you yet or not, felt something awaken inside them when your light was disrespected. Here is what most people never understand. Those who mock you often do so because they sense your future before you do. They laugh because your becoming unsettles them. They criticize because your presence exposes what they lack. They dismiss you because something about your energy reminds them they have not answered their own calling. That woman's laughter was not power. It was discomfort disguised as confidence. And strangely enough, your soulmate saw that truth before you did. Even from afar, even through unseen connection, they felt that what happened to you was unfair. They felt protective. Emotional. Pulled toward you in a way that startled them. Because your soulmate is not being drawn to your perfection. They are being drawn to your resilience. To the way you keep walking after being misunderstood. To the way you remain gentle in a world that has often been hard with you. To the way you carry wounds without turning cruel. That is what moved them. Not everyone would react this way. But this person? The one tied to your path? They cannot stand seeing your heart underestimated. And though you may not realize it yet, that moment of humiliation became a turning point. Because while one person laughed, another person's soul grew more certain about you. Read that again in your spirit. While someone mocked your worth, someone destined for you felt their emotions deepen. That is how destiny works. It turns rejection into revelation. It turns disrespect into confirmation. It uses painful moments to reveal who is truly aligned with your future. But the story goes deeper. Because your soulmate is not only emotional. They are beginning to change. Something about witnessing, energetically or physically, the way the world has treated you has awakened a new seriousness inside them. They no longer want temporary connections. They no longer want shallow attention. They no longer want games, masks, distractions. Because when they felt your pain, they also felt your value. And now a question has begun haunting them. How could someone so rare be treated as if they are ordinary? That question is changing them. It is making them reflect. It is making them watch more closely. It is making them realize that if they do not step forward when the time comes, someone precious may keep walking through life without knowing how deeply they are cherished. Stay with this thought. Sometimes the very moment that embarrasses you is the moment your soulmate begins loving you more. Not because of your suffering, but because suffering revealed your strength. Because when that woman laughed, you did not become smaller in the eyes of destiny. You became clearer, more visible, more unforgettable. And the one meant for you felt it. They may not fully understand why they suddenly care so much. They may not know why your presence lingers in their thoughts. They may not understand why emotion rises in them when your name, your face, or your energy crosses their path. But soon, they will. Because this emotional reaction was only the beginning. What they do next, what this awakening pushes them toward, may change the course of both your lives. And when that moment arrives, you will understand why the laughter had to happen before the love could rise. Because some people enter your story to doubt you, so the right one can finally recognize your worth. And this recognition, it has already begun. And now something even more powerful is unfolding, because your soulmate has not been able to move on from that moment. They tried. They told themselves they were overthinking. They tried to return to normal life. They attempted to ignore the strange emotional reaction rising inside them. But they could not. Because what they felt was not temporary emotion. It was awakening. Ever since that moment, your soulmate has been replaying thoughts of you in their mind with unusual intensity. Not casually. Not occasionally. Constantly. They keep asking themselves why your pain affected them so deeply. Why seeing you disrespected stirred something fierce within them. Why the idea of someone underestimating you made their chest tighten with emotion. And the answer is simple. Because their heart has begun choosing you before their mind can explain it. That is what unsettles them. This connection is moving faster than logic. One part of them wants to remain calm, to act detached, to convince themselves this is nothing serious. But another part, the deeper part, knows this is no ordinary attraction. Because attraction notices beauty. Destiny notices pain. Destiny notices how someone carries themselves when the world is unfair. Destiny notices who remains kind after being hurt. Destiny notices who still shines after others try to dim them. And your soulmate has begun seeing all of that in you. That woman may have laughed for a second. But your soulmate saw what stood behind your silence. Strength. Grace. Fire held under control. The kind of inner power that cannot be faked. And now they are becoming emotional not because they pity you, but because they admire what survived inside you. There is something else you need to know. Since that day, your soulmate has started comparing everyone else to you. Without meaning to. Without trying. Conversations feel emptier. Connections feel flatter. Attention from others feels strangely unimportant. Why? Because once the soul recognizes depth, surface-level energy loses its charm. They are beginning to understand that what they feel around you cannot be recreated elsewhere. And that realization is making them restless. You may have noticed strange shifts already. Unexpected eye contact. Repeated appearances. Subtle attempts to be near you. Moments where they seem like they want to speak but stop themselves. That is not coincidence. That is someone wrestling with emotions they did not expect to feel this soon. They are trying to understand why your presence affects them this way. Trying to figure out why your sadness touches them, why your smile relieves them. Why your energy lingers with them long after you leave. And the truth? They are falling before they planned to. Much earlier than they intended. Much deeper than they expected. If this message is reaching you at the right moment, take this as confirmation. What looked like public embarrassment became private revelation for someone watching. One person laughed. Another person started realizing they may never want to lose you. That is the hidden balance of life. Sometimes while one soul misjudges you, another soul begins seeing your full worth. And your soulmate's emotions are no longer quiet. They are building. Growing. Becoming impossible to suppress. Soon, what they feel inside will demand expression. But before that happens, they are being pushed through one final internal battle. Fear. Because loving someone deeply means risking vulnerability. It means stepping forward without guarantees. It means revealing feelings that could change everything. And your soulmate is standing at the edge of that decision now. They know remaining silent is becoming unbearable. They know pretending not to care is no longer working. They know something inside them has shifted permanently. So if you have felt delay, if you have wondered why they seem close yet hesitant, it is because they are gathering courage. Courage to approach. Courage to reveal. Courage to admit that seeing you hurt awaken emotions they can no longer deny. And when someone reaches that point, confession is never far behind. If this is resonating with what your spirit has been sensing, let it settle in your heart. And if you feel moved, share your thoughts below. Sometimes speaking your truth opens the next door. And if you want to keep walking these messages with me, stay close, because what comes next may explain everything. Because in the next phase of this story, your soulmate stops merely feeling. They begin planning. Planning how to get closer. Planning how to protect what they feel. Planning how to step into your life in a way that can no longer be misunderstood. The laughter that once tried to diminish you has become the very reason someone else is preparing to love you louder. And what they are preparing to do next will leave no doubt about how deeply they care. But here is where everything begins to accelerate, because emotions like this do not stay hidden forever. Your soulmate has crossed a threshold inside themselves. What began as silent concern became admiration. What became admiration is now turning into determination. They are no longer asking whether they feel something for you. They know they do. Now the only question left is, what am I going to do about it? That is the stage they have entered. And once someone reaches that point, life around them begins to change. Their routines shift. Their focus drifts. Their attention keeps circling back to one person. You. They may be acting normal on the outside. Smiling. Working. Talking. Going through daily life as if nothing is different. But internally, a storm of realization is building. Because the thought of another person continuing to misunderstand your worth, the thought of someone else stepping in before they do, the thought of you believing no one truly sees you. It is becoming unbearable for them. And that pressure is pushing them toward action. Listen closely. Your soulmate has started imagining conversations with you before they happen. They rehearse what they might say. They think about how to approach you without saying too much too fast. They imagine safety. They imagine partnership. They imagine what life could feel like beside someone whose soul carries the depth yours does. That vision has become impossible for them to ignore. And now the universe is arranging moments, small but meaningful moments, to bring your paths closer. Unexpected encounters. Perfectly timed conversations. Near misses that feel charged with tension. Glances that last longer than before. Energy that feels different when they are near. These are not random. These are the quiet movements of destiny aligning timing with courage. But hear this carefully. Before they step forward, they are watching one thing very closely. Your heart. They want to know if you are ready. They want to know if the pain others caused has made you close yourself off. They want to know if there is space in your life for the kind of love they are beginning to feel. Because your soulmate does not want to enter halfway. They want to enter fully. And that is why their next move will matter so much. It will not be casual. It will not be careless. It will not be a game disguised as affection. When they come toward you, it will be with intention. Because the same moment that made them emotional, also made them protective. They do not want to be another person who simply watches your life from afar. They want to be the one who proves not everyone will mishandle your heart. Let that sink in. The laughter that embarrassed you. The moment that made you question yourself for even a second. Has become the spark behind someone else's awakening. What was meant to diminish you has only intensified the love moving toward you. And soon, very soon, your soulmate will stop hiding behind emotion and start revealing it through action. A message. A conversation. A gesture that feels impossible to ignore. A moment where the truth between you can no longer remain unspoken. When it happens, you will understand why everything unfolded the way it did. Why the disrespect came before the devotion. Why the misunderstanding came before the recognition. Why the wound appeared before the healing. Because destiny was never humiliating you. It was positioning you. Positioning you to be seen by the one who would recognize your value instantly. And when your soulmate finally steps forward, they will not come with confusion. They will come certain. Certain that they felt your pain. Certain that your spirit moved them. Certain that no one who laughs at your light truly understands what stands before them. And most of all, certain that losing the chance to love you would be the greatest mistake of their life. This is only the beginning of what is unfolding. Because the next move they make will speak louder than every emotion they have kept hidden. And when that next move arrives, it will not be subtle. Because your soulmate has reached the point where silence feels heavier than risk. They have carried these emotions privately. They have replayed every sign, every feeling, every moment of connection. They have tried to convince themselves to wait longer. But the heart can only remain quiet for so long when destiny keeps pressing forward. So hear this carefully. The person meant for you is preparing to reveal themselves in a way you will remember forever. Not through half-hearted gestures. Not through uncertainty. Not through mixed signals that leave you questioning everything. No. When they move toward you, it will carry weight. Because they have already seen what happens when others fail to recognize your worth. They have watched people misunderstand your depth. They have watched others treat your presence casually. They have watched the world take your softness and mistake it for weakness. And something inside them refuses to let that continue. That is why their feelings are no longer passive. They are protective. Focused. Intentional. You may soon notice the signs before the confession fully arrives. A sudden boldness in the way they look at you. A seriousness in their voice when they speak to you. An unusual attentiveness, like they are studying every word, every reaction, every emotion you reveal. Why? Because they are no longer interacting with you casually. They are approaching you with purpose. And when someone's soul has chosen, even their smallest actions begin carrying meaning. A simple conversation will feel deeper. A glance will linger longer than usual. Their presence around you will feel charged, as if something important is trying to happen. Trust that feeling when it comes. Because your intuition will know before your mind does. You will sense the difference. You will feel when someone is no longer merely interested, but emotionally invested. And here is what your soulmate wants you to understand, even before they say it aloud. They were wrong about you. Wrong to laugh. Wrong to underestimate. Wrong to assume your gentleness meant fragility. Wrong to think your quietness meant you lacked power. Because the right person sees what others miss. They see the discipline behind your restraint. The wisdom behind your silence. The strength behind your softness. The beauty behind the battles you never speak about. And your soulmate sees it all. That is why they are coming closer now. Not because you changed for them. But because they finally understand who you have been all along. If this message has found you at the moment you needed it, take it as a sign to stay open, and if it speaks to your heart, let your voice be heard below. Someone else may need this reminder too. And if you want to keep receiving what is unfolding next, stay near, because this story is not finished. Because what happens after they approach you may be the moment your entire emotional world shifts. The pain of being misunderstood? It begins to lose its hold. The memory of those who mocked you? It starts to fade. The doubt they planted in your mind? It gets replaced by something stronger. Certainty. Certainty that the right love does not confuse your worth. It confirms it. And when your soulmate finally stands before you with truth in their eyes, you will realize something profound. The laughter was never the final word. It was only background noise before the arrival of someone who would love you correctly. So do not let old pain define your reflection. Do not let disrespect rewrite your identity. Do not let temporary voices convince you that you are hard to love. Because the one who truly sees you is already stepping out of hesitation. Already choosing courage over fear. Already preparing to make their feelings known. And when they do, Their honesty will heal places inside you that mockery once touched. Because sometimes the universe allows you to be underestimated. Only so the right person can arrive and treasure what others failed to understand. And your story is moving toward that moment now. Very soon. The one who became emotional for you will become undeniable to you. Very soon, the truth will no longer hide behind glances or quiet tension. Because your soulmate is reaching the moment where emotion transforms into action. They have felt enough. Watched enough. Waited enough. And now something inside them is saying, if I stay silent any longer, I may lose the person I was meant to find. That realization changes everything. Because when fear of loss becomes greater than fear of vulnerability, people do extraordinary things. Your soulmate is entering that state now. They are beginning to understand that protecting their feelings by staying quiet is no longer protection at all, it is self-sabotage. So the hesitation that once slowed them? It is breaking. The walls they built around their emotions? Cracking. The excuses they used to delay what their heart already knew? Falling apart one by one. And when those walls collapse, love moves fast. You may notice their energy shift suddenly. The person who once seemed cautious may become direct. The one who hesitated may start seeking every excuse to be near you. The quiet observer may become the one initiating conversations, creating opportunities, finding reasons to stay in your world longer. Because they are done pretending this connection is ordinary. They know what they feel now. And more importantly, they know you deserve to be told. Not guessed about. Not secretly admired forever. Not loved only in silence. You deserve clarity. You deserve effort. You deserve someone brave enough to say, I see your worth, and I refuse to let you question it any longer. That is the energy approaching you. And when that moment arrives, it may catch you off guard. Because sometimes the deepest confessions come after the longest silence. Sometimes the strongest love appears right after the greatest doubt. Sometimes the person who watched quietly becomes the one who changes everything. So if you have felt that something is building, if your intuition keeps whispering that someone's feelings for you are stronger than they admit, trust that. Because your spirit often senses what your eyes have not yet confirmed. And here is the part no one told you. Your soulmate has been practicing this moment in their mind. Thinking of what they will say. Imagining your reaction. Wondering if your heart still has room to believe in love after all you have endured. They are not planning a careless confession. They are planning a meaningful one. Because they understand that when someone has been underestimated, words matter. Tone matters. Timing matters. They want their approach to leave no doubt. No confusion. No mixed signals. No uncertainty. Only truth. And when they finally reveal what has been building inside them, it will sound like relief. Like someone who has carried emotion too long finally setting it free. Like someone who can no longer keep pretending they do not care. Like someone who looked at your pain, your strength, your beauty, and decided they would rather risk everything than lose the chance to love you. Remember this. The woman who laughed at you thought she was witnessing your weakness. But in reality, she was standing at the beginning of your transformation. Because that moment did not break your story. It redirected it. Towards someone who would see your tears and call them strength. Towards someone who would see your scars and call them proof of survival. Towards someone who would look at the parts of you others mocked, and love you more because of them. That is what is coming. A love that does not merely admire you when you shine, but cherishes you because of everything you survived in the dark. So prepare yourself emotionally. Because the person who became deeply affected by your pain is almost ready to tell you exactly how much you mean to them. And when they speak, you will finally understand why none of the disrespect was wasted. It was all leading here. To the moment someone worthy of your heart chooses to make their love known. And when that confession arrives, it will not feel like chaos. It will feel like destiny stepping into the room. And when destiny steps into the room, nothing inside you will remain the same. Because the confession coming toward you will carry more than words. It will carry recognition. The kind of recognition your heart has been waiting for through every misunderstanding, every dismissal, every moment you smiled while secretly wondering if anyone truly saw you. This person will. Completely. When your soulmate finally speaks, you will hear something rare in their voice. Certainty. Not confusion. Not hesitation. Not shallow attraction disguised as affection. Certainty. The kind that says, I have watched your strength in silence. I have felt your pain even when you hid it. I saw what others mocked, and I saw beauty where they saw nothing. And in that moment, every painful memory tied to being underestimated will begin losing power. Because one genuine soul who sees you clearly can undo years of doubt planted by people who never understood you. That is the healing approaching. Not temporary attention. Not flattering words. Real emotional truth. The kind that settles your nervous heart. The kind that makes your spirit whisper, yes, this is different. And your soulmate will not approach timidly anymore. They have moved beyond fear. Because somewhere along the way they realized something life-changing. That loving you is worth the risk. Worth the vulnerability. Worth the uncertainty. Worth the possibility of rejection. Because some souls arrive and awaken such deep knowing within us, that staying silent becomes impossible. You are that person for them. That is why this entire story unfolded the way it did. The laughter, the pain, the confusion, the emotional awakening. It was never random. It was the universe arranging contrast. Showing you what mockery feels like, so you would fully recognize real devotion when it arrives. Showing your soulmate what disrespect looks like, so they would understand how fiercely they want to honor you instead. Everything was preparation. Preparation for a connection that will not need to be forced. Preparation for a love that arrives with emotional maturity. Preparation for someone who enters your life not to confuse you, but to confirm what your soul has long hoped for. And when they finally stand before you, heart open, truth exposed, feelings undeniable, you will realize something beautiful. The people who laughed were never part of your final chapter. They were temporary noise before the arrival of someone permanent. Temporary blindness before true vision. Temporary rejection before real choosing. Temporary pain before lasting love. So if your heart has been tired, if part of you has wondered whether being deeply seen was ever truly possible, hold on. Because the one who became emotional over your pain is becoming brave because of their love. And very soon, they will stop being a hidden feeling in the background of your life, and become the person standing directly in front of you, telling you what their heart has known for longer than they wanted to admit. That seeing you hurt changed something in me. And from that moment on, I knew I could never ignore what I feel for you again. When that day comes, you will not remember the laughter with pain. You will remember it as the strange beginning of the moment everything changed. Because sometimes what looks like humiliation is heaven clearing the stage for a greater love story. And the love story approaching you now will make every past misunderstanding feel like it was only leading you here. To the person who saw your wounds, felt your worth, and chose you without hesitation. This is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of the chapter where you are finally loved the way you always deserved. And when that chapter begins, you will understand why nothing before it was allowed to last. Because the love approaching you is not arriving to simply comfort you. It is arriving to transform you. Your soulmate will not just confess their feelings and disappear into uncertainty. No. They are coming with intention to stay. To build. To nurture. To prove through action what others only pretended through words. That is why their entrance into your life will feel different from anything before. You will notice it immediately. There will be no guessing games. No emotional confusion. No wondering where you stand in their heart. Because someone who has watched you be underestimated, someone who has felt emotional because of your pain, does not arrive to play with your emotions. They arrive with seriousness. With purpose. With the quiet determination of someone who has already made their decision before speaking it. And their decision is this. They do not want to admire you from a distance anymore. They want to stand beside you. To be the person who reminds you on difficult days that your worth was never tied to anyone's opinion. To be the voice that quiets the old insecurities left by people who never understood your value. To be the arms that hold you through moments where the past still tries to whisper old lies. Because this soulmate understands something powerful. Loving you is not only about romance. It is about restoration. Restoring the confidence others chipped away at. Restoring the trust that pain made difficult. Restoring the belief that real love can be safe, steady, and true. And as this connection grows, you will begin changing too. You will speak with more confidence. Walk with more peace. Carry yourself with the quiet assurance of someone who knows they are deeply cherished. Why? Because being loved correctly changes how a person sees themselves. And perhaps for the first time, you will stop trying to prove your worth to people who were never meant to understand it. Because once real love enters, validation from the wrong people loses its power. That woman who laughed, her opinion will become irrelevant. Her moment of mockery will shrink into nothing more than a distant memory. Because the life ahead of you will be too full, too meaningful, too beautiful, to keep looking backward at those who misjudged you. And here is the final truth you were meant to hear. Sometimes destiny allows pain not to punish you, but to position you. To place you exactly where your soulmate can recognize you. To awaken emotions inside them strong enough to overcome fear. To create the moment that forces hidden love into visible action. Without that painful moment, perhaps they would have remained uncertain longer. Perhaps they would have delayed. Perhaps they would not have understood the depth of what they felt. But now? There is no more doubt. They know. They know what you mean to them. They know what they want. They know they are meant to step toward you. And when they do, it will mark the end of one season of your life. The season of being unseen. The season of being underestimated. The season of questioning whether anyone would ever truly understand your heart. That season is ending. Because the one who felt your pain, the one who became emotional when others laughed, the one who could not ignore what happened to you, is on their way to love you in a way that will make everything before them make sense. So lift your head. Let the past fall behind you. And remember this whenever doubt tries to return. The people who mocked you were witnesses to your becoming, but your soulmate. Your soulmate is the one destined to witness your blooming. And soon, they will make sure you never forget how worthy of love you truly are. The story was never about the laughter. It was always about who would rise because of it.